Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to the webinar attendees today. Today's topic is on managing requests using ServiceDesk Plus Basics. My name is Charles Ignatius. I'm a product expert from ManageEngine, and I have over 7 years of experience with ManageEngine's ITSM suite, and I will be the presenter for today. So this time, we have separated this webinar into two different sessions. One is basics, which we will be looking into today. So we'll be going through the basics of the request management. And the next session is on October 17th on the advanced topics like custom triggers, field and form rules, chat configurations, etc. So if you have not registered for the October 17th webinar, probably you can register for it and we shall learn together on that day. Today's agenda is about creating and classifying requests, the different kinds of requests that are created in a help desk and how we can classify them. And we will be discussing about how we can automate those requests that are created in the help desk tool. And we will also be looking into configuring approval workflows for the request. And we will also be looking into task module on how tasks can be used to complete a request. And we will also be discussing on request and task closure rules. And if time permits, we shall also check out the mobile app functionalities and we shall conclude the session. So let's get started. In any IT help desk team, there will be two types of requests getting created. One is a service request, requesting for a laptop, requesting for a shared drive access, request for setting up a new hire process. So these are the service requests that will be created. And at the same time, there will be incidents. Say if there is a problem in the laptop, if there is a problem in accessing the shared drive, or if there is an issue in any of the services offered by the IT team to the end users, then there comes an incident. So let's go here and first discuss on service catalog and discuss on the service request section, and then we shall move on to the incident side. So in service catalog, you'll be able to add all your services and you can list them like a menu card when you enter into a hotel. So it will be available like a menu card for your end users. So they can pick the service that is applicable for them and they can submit a ticket and that can be processed by the IT team. So these options available at the top, such as application login, communication, data management, are all service categories which are available under the service category section over here. So you can remove all these default ones and add more sensible service categories over here, and which will help your end users to easily identify the template or the service that they are looking for. And with that in place, it will be easy for them to pick the appropriate template and submit the kind of request that they need to. So under service catalog, let's choose a particular template for discussion in this webinar. So let me go here and choose request a laptop. So here, you'll be able to design the template as per your requirement. You'll be able to add additional fields by dragging and dropping. There are multiple additional fields that you can add. And along with that, you will also be able to configure whether this template has to be shown or be made available to your end users or not. So by enabling this checkbox, you will be able to show this template to the end users. If this is disabled, users will not be able to see the template at all. Another important thing is all services will not be applicable for all the end users. So let's consider an example. Request a laptop service is applicable only for end users are not provided with a laptop. They will be provided with a thin client connected to a desktop, let's assume. So in that case, you will have to restrict this template only to managers. For that, you have to go back to admin, user groups, and here you can create user groups in this section, and this can be associated to the template. Now I have already created a user group here, so let me go ahead and edit that. So what I have done is these are the available filters. There are 5 different filters that can be used, such as department, site, email ID, job title, and name. So what I've done is I've chosen the job title as manager, so that only managers will be able to see this template. So when I click on preview, it's going to pull up all the managers that are available in my help desk. So at the moment, there is only one who is having a job title as sales manager. So this job title will be fetched from Active Directory as a part of AD import. All right. So now, when this is being associated, only James, the person who is listed over here, will be able to see this template and will be able to request for a service. So let me log in as an end user. All right. So when you log in as an end user, you can click on submit a request, and all the service categories will be listed on the left. So you can choose from the list whatever you are looking for. So under hardware, I can find the request for a laptop service, and I can submit it as a ticket. Okay. So the next thing we are going to look into is the incident template. Again, you'll have to go to the admin tab, and under incident template, you'll be able to configure all your incident templates in this list. So let me choose an incident template from here. So let me choose network is slow. And here, I will be able to once again show this template to the end users, or not allow them to view this template by enabling this checkbox. So let's assume you have a group, say network group, and you do not want, the technicians from the network group alone should be able to see this template. Either users or no other group technicians should be able to see. In that case, you can disable this checkbox, show to requester, as well as you can select network group over here, associate groups to template in this section. So only the network group people will be able to see this template, and others will not be able to. Now that we have discussed about the templates, let's go ahead and discuss about workflows that can be configured for the service and the incident templates. So under a service template, I'll go ahead and pick the same template we chose before, request a laptop. Under workflow, you'll be able to configure approvers. So there are 5 stages of approval which you can configure for a service request. So under each stage, there can be any number of people who can be an approver and can suggest, or they can cast their approval. So any user, both end user as well as technician, can be an approver. So this can be configured under admin, requesters, and you can just edit anyone from the list. And by enabling this checkbox that says service request approver, this person will start to show up in this section. So as I was telling before, both requesters as well as technicians can be a service request approver. It does not mean that you will have to add additional license to for your approvers. So requesters can also be an approver. And if you can see over here, there are options like general manager, regional manager, site managers, etc. So these are present under admin, organization roles. So under organization roles, these are dynamic roles that are available in the application, and you can associate a user to each and every role. And automatically, based on the approval configuration, email will be sent across to them, and they can go ahead and submit or fill the approval process. So say, for example, at the moment, I have 2 sites. So let me add another one as well. I will add New York as the site. And I'm going to associate site managers for each site that I have. So I'll go to site manager. Let me click on this. Associate user, and this is going to give me or list me all the sites that I have in the application, and will allow me to choose the appropriate approver. So for London, it's Heather. For Melbourne, it's going to be Howard, and likewise for New York, it's going to be, say, Jennifer. So in that case, automatically, when a service request is created, And if you're going to configure Site Manager as an approver here, if the user is from Melbourne, automatically Melbourne Site Manager will receive an email asking for his approval. Likewise, if the user is from New York, New York Site Manager will be receiving an email for his approval. Just assume if the option is not available, what will you do? If organization rules is not available and you do not have an option to specify these configuration. So in that scenario, you will have to create multiple multiple templates, one for Melbourne, one for London, another for New York, so that appropriate user can choose the particular template and they can submit the service request. So this can be avoided with the help of organization rules, which is available under the admin tab. So when an approval is being sent, the default configuration is like any approver approves, the request will be considered as approved, or the stage will be considered as cleared. So for example, I have let's assume I have 3 different approvers in stage 1. And if any approver approves out of those 3, the stage will be considered as cleared and it will move on. The approval will move on to the stage 2. So if I do not want to do that, instead, if my requirement is all the approvers have to approve, it's not just one who has to approve, instead all have to approve. So I can enable the option that says all approvers have to approve the service request. So when this is enabled, all the 3 have to complete the approval. Only then the stage 1 will be considered as cleared and the request on the approval will move on to the next stage. So you will also be able to configure when the approval mail has to be sent across immediately after the request is submitted, or either a technician has to manually trigger the approval. And you can also choose the option where technician should not be assigned to a service request until it is approved. So if this is enabled, technician will not be automatically assigned by service desk until the approval process is completed. So here, let's take a small break. Let's pause here for a moment and let me ask you a question. So how many of you know that similar kind of an approval workflow is available in the incident templates as well? So let's make the session, kind of interactive. So could you please post or, fill in the poll so that we can proceed? So the question is, do you know incident approval? Incident request workflow is available and how many of you are using it? So if you know, or if you're already using, say already using. So it's going to give me a good insight of, whether the latest features have reached you, and that will be really helpful for us. So let's close this poll in 3 seconds. So 3, 2, and 1. So I'm going to close this poll and let me share you the results. So the majority say that they are not aware of this feature, and there are 4% of the attendees who are already using it. So I'm happy about it. So the good news is, yes, the functionality is available. So when you go to admin and when you go to incident template, you'll be able to see, let's pick network flow templates. And there is a workflow tab over here, and here you'll be able to configure the approval configuration. So either all the approvers have to approve the incident request, or anyone has to approve the incident request. So you'll be able to choose this information or choose this configuration over the workflow tab in incident request. So whenever this template is used, this particular configuration will be applied, and based on that, the approval will be updated. So another thing that I wanted to show you is the approval enhancement that we have brought in the recent service packs. So if you are not sure, if you find one of the things that kind of different from what you're using. So I'm using the latest build. The latest is 9326. So if you are in a older build, probably you can upgrade to the latest. So under the self-service portal settings, there is an option called approval setting. So here you'll be able to configure whether the requester should be able to see the approval tab or not. So if you uncheck this box, requesters, after they submit the ticket, they will not be seeing the approval tab at all. And another option that is available over here is who has to approve a request? Anyone can approve. In that case, if you go to a request, you can just type in any email address, email address that is present in the system, present in the organization, or someone outside the organization. You can just click on submit approval, and you can type any email address over here, and that person will receive an email notification. So either anyone can approve, or if you do not want that to happen, you want only the system users to approve. So in that case, you can enable the second option. So let's say you do not want the other two. You want all the service request approvers that you have already configured to approve incident requests as well. So in that case, you can enable or select the third option. So there are other options as well, whether approval email, when it is sent across, the person who receives it can approve the request without logging in, or they will have to log in. So all those options can be configured over here. So when a request is sent for approval, if you want the timer on that request, the SLA timer, to be stopped, you can enable this checkbox and choose whichever option that you want, whichever status it has to go to. So if the request is waiting for approval, and if it is in the open status, the SLA clock will be running and the request will be violated unnecessarily. So we can stop that from happening by enabling this checkbox. So you can also send reminder notifications to the approver if the approval action is not taken place in the number of days that you're going to configure, say in 5 days, 2 days. And you can also send multiple notifications and restrict, say you just want to send 5 notifications, and after that you do not want to send. So you can enable this box. And the notification template can also be configured over here. Okay, so the next thing we are going to discuss about is the automations that are available in the request module. So we have business rules, we have notifications, automations available for service request as well as for the incident request separately. So under the admin tab, you have service catalog business rules. So business rule is a feature where you can configure a criteria. So, and based on the criteria, an action can be automatically performed by the application. So what I've configured in this rule is, if the VIP user is yes. By the way, VIP user is a feature wherein you'll be able to set or configure your users, whether say the CEO of the company, the director of sales, the CFO of the company are all VIP users, right? So if there is a request from them, it has to be obviously attended on priority. So in that case, you can go to admin requesters, and I'm going to choose this person from the list. And the VIP user section is available over here. So if you enable this checkbox, then you will be a VIP user. And whenever a request is created from the VIP user, this business rule will be applied as per my configuration. So there are also other options like if the priority is high, or if the category is network. If you want certain other action has to be applied, you can very well do that. So now at the moment, if the VIP user is yes, what I have done is I have set the priority as high, and I've configured the application to assign the request to a technician called administrator. So you can also configure email notifications and SMS notifications when this business rule is applied. So email notification, well, we are very much aware a notification can be sent across. We also support SMS notifications. So let me quickly take you there. Under admin tab, you have organization roles, and under admin tab, you have SMS notification settings, and there are 2 types of providers. SMS provider that gives you an SMS mail ID, and that can be configured in the application. And the second option is SMS gateway providers. So whichever option you use, you can make use of that and send SMS notifications from ServiceDesk Plus. If you're going to choose the SMS gateway provider, by default, we support 3, clickable bulk SMS inside 24/7. If you have any other provider apart from this from the ones that are listed here, you can click on custom and you can configure the settings that they provide you. So ServiceDesk can make use of these settings and send SMS notifications to your technicians as well. All right. And the next thing we're going to look into is service catalog, service level agreements. Any IT team, help desk team is going to have an SLA. So here you'll be able to configure your SLA. So based on, and you can associate that SLA to the service offered. So here I have created a rule called laptop rule. And whenever I've configured it in such a way that it has to be responded within 4 hours and the request has to be completed within 5 days. And there are also escalations that can be configured so that if the request is not completed within date, it can be sent, an escalation email can be sent across. Along with the escalation email, you can also configure certain actions to be performed, like change from one group to another, change from one technician to another, and likewise priority and level can also be changed. Okay. So now let me show you how this rule is associated to the service templates. So I'm going back to service catalog and the same template which we were using from the beginning, which is request a laptop. And here under the workflow, you have an option called SLA for service. So you can select the list of SLAs from the list of SLAs which you are going to associate to this particular template, and that's all. So you can save. So when an end user is creating a request asking for a laptop, this particular SLA will be available for him at the top. So let me go ahead. Now I'm logged in as an end user. I'm going to create a request now. Request a laptop. So when I use this template, immediately the due by time will be available for me at the top over here. This will give the end user an heads up on when the service will be delivered. So instead of them coming back asking for an update the very next day, we can give us an expectation. We can set the expectation right so that this service will be delivered in 5 days. And, before that, they can have their expectations right at that moment. Now let us discuss about the business rule and service level agreement functionalities for incidents. So under admin, under organization rules, you have business rules. So here you can configure your business rule like I did for the service catalog. So the same thing goes here. The additional functionality is you'll be able to change templates. So for example, if the category is going to be, this is just an example. If I get a request but as a category set as network, I am going to change the template to network is slow. So automatically, whenever there is a request coming in with category set as network, ServiceDesk will automatically change the template, request template to network is slow template. So I can go ahead and configure the network is slow template with all the required details, tasks and all those things. And when this business rule is applied, all those functionalities will be applied on the request that is created. And there is an option where the business rule can be executed on 3 different scenarios. That is, it can be executed anytime, it can be executed within operational hours and outside operational hours. So let's assume, there is a ticket, an high priority ticket or a ticket that's going to your network group. If it is created or if the request is created within operational hours, it can be assigned a nominal priority and it can be assigned to a technician and things like that. If it is created, if the request is created to that particular group outside the operational hours, in that case, if you want to make some other configuration, if you want to set certain other configuration and also notify the people, you can very well do that. So on a weekend, if the request is created for the network group, people will not be logged into their help desk, but they may be logged into their email on their phone. So in that case, they may receive a notification stating that there is a request created outside the operational hours, and they will also be, if you configure SMS notifications, they will also get an SMS about the new request that is created. Okay, so now service level agreements. In the service template, what we saw was we created a service level agreement, we associated to the template, and whenever the template is used, that SLA will be applied. But whereas for the incidents, it is different. So you can create a service level agreement based on the rule, and whenever that particular criteria is met, the response and the resolution due by time will be set. So again, I have configured the SLA in such a way that if the VIP user is yes, the response should be sent in 1 hour and the request has to be resolved in 2 hours. So likewise, if I'm going to set a different option, priority, if the priority is high, the request has to be responded in 1 hour and closed in 2 hours. Likewise, you can configure your SLA for incidents over here. And likewise, you can also configure escalations. So email escalations as well as actions can be taken as a part of the escalations. Similar to service catalog service level agreements, you can move the request from one group to another, from one technician to another, etc., etc. Okay, the next option that is available to automate the request flow is the technician auto assign. So when you go to technician auto assign, you can enable this so that when new requests that are coming into the help desk, when new requests are created, you can assign those tickets to your technicians in a round robin manner or in a load balancing manner. Round robin, as the name indicates, requests will be assigned to every technician, one by one. Whereas load balancing is a feature where, based on the pending count of the technicians, request will be assigned. So if there are 5 in number, if you have 5 technicians, and if 3 are having more number of pending count, and in that scenario, those 3 will not be assigned new tickets, and those with less amount of tickets alone will be assigned this ticket. And you will also be able to exclude technicians from the list. So the director of IT or the manager of IT will not be assigned a technician, will not be assigned a request normally. So in that case, you can exclude them from the list. So technician auto assign will not assign cases to them. And the third option that is available is you can enable exceptions based on certain criteria. So these are the criteria available. So let me choose priority. So if there is a new request coming in and as a priority set as high, and if you do not want the technician auto assign it to any new joinee, a new technician, or a less experienced technician, in that case you can configure this exception, and those requests will not be automatically assigned. Service desk will leave those requests in unassigned so that a human has to take action and move it to a particular group or to assign it to a different technician. All right. So the next option that we are going to discuss about is on the task module. So I will take a quick pause once again, and I will launch another poll. So could you please let me know how many of you, the attendees here, are using the task module in ServiceDesk Plus? So we can leave this poll open for another 5 seconds. So let me go ahead and close this poll. And thank you for participating. These are the results. So 48% of the attendees are using it, and the remaining 52 are not. So let me show you. Maybe you will not be using the task module because of the fact that it is kind of complicated, or it might not have suited your requirement. But let me explain you the functionalities that are available, and after that you may look into using the task module as well. So I'm going to Service Catalog, and I'm going to choose the employee onboarding template. An employee onboarding template will have multiple tasks in place. That is, multiple actions taken by different teams, taken by different technicians. So there will be multiple number of technicians acting on each and every task to complete this particular request. So they will be setting up an Active Directory account, which will be done by the Active Directory team. An email account has to be set up, which will be done by the email monitoring or email management team. Likewise, each and every task will be done by different people. So in that case, unless or until, let us assume unless or until set up an Active Directory account is completed, set up email account and provision laptop cannot be completed or cannot be worked on. Likewise, let's assume set up email account. Without this task completed, access to CRM application cannot be provided. So to achieve this, you will be able to configure task dependencies. So at the moment, all these tasks are configured as parent tasks. So now I'm going to configure parent and child relationship over here. So setup email account depends on setup Active Directory account. So in that case, I'm going to highlight this and choose the parent. And now provision laptop depends on setting up Active Directory account again. So in that case, I'm once again going to choose the parent as setup Active Directory account. And let's assume access to CRM application cannot be provided until or unless the email account is configured. So I'm going to enable this and I'm going to configure email account task as the parent for this. So this is going to be my setup. So in this case, until or unless setup Active Directory account task is completed, these two tasks cannot be closed. Likewise, until or unless setup email account task is completed, access to CRM application task cannot be completed. So this is task dependency. The other option that is available is mark and assign feature in the task. So I'll go back to this particular template. So what does this mark and assign do? So when you go to a task, you can mark this task to a group so that only after the parent task is completed, this one will be triggered and will be assigned to the appropriate group automatically. Until then, this task will not be assigned to the group or to the technician that is configured over here. So let me say access to CRM application will be provided by a technician called Sean Adams. And I'm going to make this as a mark task. So until or unless setup email account is completed, because this is the parent task of this. So number 2 is the parent task of number 4. In that case, until or unless number 2 is completed, number 4 task will not be assigned to Sean Adams, which means will not be assigned to the technician or to the group. It will be hidden from the list, and only after this is over, it will be triggered and will be assigned to Sean Adams and will start to show up in his queue. So you can make use of task dependency and mark assign feature to automatically, to configure the parent and child relationship. And not only that, you can also make use of the mark and assign to trigger tasks so that only after the parent is completed, the child will be triggered and will be shown in the technician's list or in the group's list. Otherwise, it will not show up for them. So service request has to be created. So the service catalog request has to be created with the help of, the users have to log into the self-service portal to create a service request. Whereas incident tickets can be created through email, or they can also log into the self-service portal to create an incident. So when they go to the self-service portal, they can choose from the list of services that they need, and they can submit a ticket. Whereas incidents that's not the case. They can also send an email and convert that as a ticket. So you can configure the email server settings under admin tab, and this is exactly similar to configuring your mail client like Thunderbird or Outlook. So you can provide your server name and username, password, and details, and service desk will start to look into that mailbox and convert those emails into tickets. So if in case, if there is a request that is created, if there is a service request sent as an email to the help desk and is created as an incident, in that case, what you can do is you can convert that into a service request, and that functionality is available if you go to the request, actions, and convert incident to service. This is going to create a new service request, and this create service request will create a new service request, and there will be two requests now. One is an incident request and one is a service request. The other option is converting this incident request into a service request completely. So under actions, I can click on convert incident to service, and I can choose the service category. So in this case, I'm going to select internet, and I'm going to select request internet access. So all the tasks that are available in this template will be created, and all the fields that are configured in the template will be automatically updated. So you'll be able to make these conversions from the request details page. So any request that is having this "and" kind of a symbol with a note on top of it is a service request in the application, and any request which is having an incident, which is a note and a pen symbol like this, is an incident request in the application. Okay, so this is going to be the request list view. The request list view is modified recently so that the request as well as the task are shown to the users, to the technicians at the same time. Previously, the task tab or the tasks will be hidden from the list, and now we have made it on the list view itself, so you can make use of the task. If you're using the task, so all these options will be available for you over here, and you can choose from the list and you can work on the task. Likewise, from the request list view, you can make certain options like you can assign group and technician from the list. When you assign a group and a technician, you can identify those technicians that are online and only assign tickets to them. So if a technician is online, there will be a green symbol such as this. So there will be a green symbol. So at the moment, administrator is online. If there is another technician online, the application is going to show you that. So you can select online and assign this case only to the online technicians. So you can make offline and online by going into when you log into the application, or otherwise if you go to the right corner where you log out of the tool, you can select online and offline section over here. So you can also upload your profile picture so that when you answer a ticket or when assigning a ticket, the profile pictures will also be available. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is from the list view, you can also add notes to a request. So you can add a note, and that can be added to the request automatically. So if you go to a request, there is a work log timer available over here. So in environments where if to complete a request, to fix an issue, or to provision a service request, technicians have to travel directly to the end user's place to complete it. So in that scenario, in certain places, technicians have to travel from one building to another, from one floor to another, or from one location to another. So they can start the work log timer. And this will start, this clock will be ticking and will be calculating the total amount of time taken to complete this request. So if any technician logs in, or if any technician comes to this request, you'll be able to see that there is a person working on this request, and that is the reason for this clock to tick. So this is going to give them an idea that this ticket has already been taken care and people are working on it. So let this clock tick, and in the meantime, we should also discuss about other functionalities that are available in the request list view. So when a user creates a request, all right, so let's assume there is an internet problem in the location where he is. So he sends an email to service desk, and that is created as a request, an incident. And he sends another email in few minutes saying that the problem is still there. So he sends multiple number of emails, and all those emails are created as separate incidents in the application. So in that scenario, you can use the merge functionality to merge those tickets. So you can merge them into one, so that there will not be duplicate requests, and they will all become as one request, and a technician can complete the case. The other option is link request. So again, the same network problem in a floor where number of users are working on, and there are multiple emails coming into your help desk saying that the internet is not stable, the wireless is not working. So in that scenario, there will be multiple cases over here. So instead of assigning each and every technician, each and every case to different technicians and making them work on it, you can assign or you can select all those requests and click on link request. So when you link the request, there will be one parent request, and at the moment it is linked to 3. So I'm going to go into the third, the request ID 3. So this is the parent request now. So if I add a note, I will be able to copy that note to all the linked requests automatically. So I'm going to add a note, and whatever note I add, it can be copied across to all the linked requests. Likewise, if I add a resolution, that also can be copied across to all the linked requests. And at the same time, if I add a work log, and again that can be copied across to all the linked requests. So this is the advantage of linking requests from in the request list view. All right. So now let's come back to the request ID 12 where I have started the clock. I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to add it to the work log. So at the moment, it's like I have worked on this request for a few minutes, and I can save it. So under the work log section, the work logs that you add will list over here. So you can also add manual work logs by going into add new, and you can add the details over here. So for work logs, you can also have additional fields which can be configured under admin and work log additional fields. So there can be 24 text and few number of numeric and date fields can also be added. So all those fields will be listed under the additional field section. So when users or when your technicians add work log, they can very well complete those additional fields as well and submit the work log. All right. So now let's go back to the request and task closing rules. Under admin, under the help desk customizer, you have request closing rules. So this section is is pretty familiar. So if you want your technicians to fill out certain values, you can just enable this. So if you want your technicians to fill out a resolution before completing a request or before closing a request, you can enable this checkbox. So without the resolution, they will not be able to close the request. Likewise, if you want your request to be closed automatically, if all the associated tasks are completed, in that case, you can enable this checkbox. So remember, we discussed about the employee onboarding template. So the employee onboarding template is all about actions, multiple actions carried out by different teams and different people. So all those will be added as tasks in the template. So after each and every task is completed, when all these tasks are closed, automatically, if you want the request also to be closed, you can enable this checkbox. And the other option available is automatically close request if it is denied. So if a request is sent for approval, and if the approval is if the approver approves the request, it can be assigned to a technician and work can be done on it, and the request can be completed. Let's say if the request is denied by the approver, in that case, you can, instead of a technician going ahead and closing the request manually, you can set the application to close the request automatically. So you can enable this checkbox, and you can configure after how many days or how many hours the request has to be closed. So you can enable this, you can set the closure code and resolution, and you can also configure what should happen to the tasks that are associated with the template. So if you enable the first option, all the associated tasks to that template will be closed. If you enable this, all the tasks will be deleted. So now let's discuss about the task closing rules. This is again available under the admin tab. So like the request closing rules, for task closing rules, you have mandatory fields available. So without filling in these values, if you do not want your technicians to close a task, you can enable whatever is required. So if you want work log to be a mandatory field for closing a task, you can enable this checkbox. So now, task completion status. So there are multiple statuses that are available in the application under the admin tab. So under admin status, you can have multiple statuses created. So if you want to distinguish a request status from a task status, you can create task statuses as well. So let me go ahead and create one here. Task resolved status. All right. So I'm going to configure this as a completed status. So if a task is moved to this particular one, it's considered as completed. So if you want this, if you want the application also to make use of the new task, new status that you've created, you can enable the second option over here. So any completed status of task will be considered as a task completed status. Or if you do not want that to happen, if you want only the default closed status to be considered as a task completed status, you can enable the first checkbox. All right. So with that said, let's go back to, we still have time. So let's go ahead and discuss about the mobile enhancements that we have made in the ServiceDesk mobile app. So the ServiceDesk mobile app is Ping verified for the request module. So we have multiple functionalities in there. So you have request filters, both the default as well as custom filters will be available for you. So you can, from the mobile, you'll be able to work on your request. You can pick your filters and you can work on the request, and you also can work on tasks from the mobile app. So there are task filters there, and you can make use of that. You can filter your own tasks and you can complete them from the mobile app itself. And the next option is request approvals. Request can be sent, when a request is sent for approval, it is not that the approver has to log into their email to complete the request, the approval process. They can also do it from the mobile app. So if you go to the application, ServiceDesk has the ability to send push notifications on the mobile app. Under admin notification rules, there is mobile push notification. So if you enable the rules here, so automatically based on the selection, push notification will be sent across. So at the moment, when a request is assigned to a technician, they will get a notification on their mobile. Likewise, when a note is added for a request, they will get a notification on their mobile. So, and moreover, the request ServiceDesk mobile app is available for both requesters as well as for end users. So requesters need not log into the self-service portal, need not send an email. They can make use of the ServiceDesk app and submit a ticket. They can take a photograph and they can attach it to the request, and they can send it as a request from the mobile app itself. And all the notifications that are sent to you will be available under the notification section. So at any point of time, if you wanted to check your previous notifications, you can very well come to the notifications tab on your mobile app and verify the notifications. So any feedback about the session or support required in implementing these features, please do email us at support@servicedeskplus.com. You will also be receiving a follow-up email from GoToWebinar, and that will contain a survey link. Please do fill out the survey. That's going to tell me how the session was and how it was, framed and delivered. So based on your feedback, we will work on it, and we will try to cater our future sessions accordingly. Thank you for joining the session today. I hope it was informative. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.